Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1254, a roller coaster weather day.
Hey!
It's Feb 27, 2024, 58 degrees on this day in 2016, 22 below on this day in 1879.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
A lot of emails regarding my position on Mr. Trump. And many were in my favor. And Greg Quady writes, for example, I haven't written in a while, but yesterday's show and the social media reaction to it has inspired me in a way. During the show, a discussion about the fabled Trump derangement syndrome came up and how Joe may, or more likely may not, be afflicted by it. I'd argue that he does not. Ever since 2015 and the ride down the escalator, nearly everything Joe and most Trump critics have said about him is true, with very little hyperbole or exception. It's my point of view that the people who truly have TDS are his sycophants and diehard supporters who think he can do no wrong and is immune from any criticism whatsoever. Your show's Facebook page is a clear example of this. Anytime Trump is brought up in a somewhat unflattering light on the show, which, let's be honest, is fairly common, the comment section is full of the usual suspects saying the show is out of touch and full of lefty sympathizers simply because they're not falling at Trump's feet and kissing the ground he walks on. To me, and here's the key, everybody, and again, I'm not trying to convert you. You have whatever thoughts you have. To me, that is the exact opposite of GL principles. Well, of course it is. Keep doing what you're doing, Joe. The country needs more people like you. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
God bless America,
Positive.
Joe Souchere.
Good luck, Greg. Thank you. And I got some that fall back on the old, who cares what his personality is? We'll get the right policies.
Will we? I don't know.
Didn't I acknowledge yesterday that his policies are more favorable than Biden's? What, A, I don't trust the guy as far as I can throw him, and B, he's a psycho. He's a corrupt psycho, and I don't want anything to do with him.
Plus, depending what happens at these elections, are the Republicans going to gain a whole bunch? I think it's going to stay the same.
I just like the fact that GLers are involved and engaged with the show. I think that's pretty cool.
But I probably could be guilty of having developed WALZ derangement.
WALZ derangements.
I definitely have that.
WDS.
But I don't think I do. I can take him or leave him. But every time he comes in the news, it's in an unflattering way as it relates to the principles of Garage Logic, which is civility and rationality and fiduciary responsibility and whatever else the long list of our dynamics are. WALZ doesn't fit any of them. He even stiffed Arnie Carlson, for Pete's sake. I thought that was shocking
and
to learn
continues to, not did,
Yeah,
continues to.
So anyway, there goes Trump and there goes Biden. Neither of them are fit. It's a dreadful situation, and there really isn't much I can do about it. So there you have it. We have more trans people in the news. And I only mention it because I saw this story in the New York Post. The coach of a Vermont high school basketball team has been banned for forfeiting a game in which his team had to play against a transgender. And I immediately thought it was the story we recently brought up, but as Mr. Haidt corrected us, the story we recently brought up was in Massachusetts, where a tall, bearded male pretending he's female was hurting his opponents, his female opponents. So they forfeited the game. This is a story from a year ago that's only coming to light now. The coach of a Vermont high school girls basketball team that was banned from state athletics after forfeiting a game against a squad with a trans player defended the decision. The coach is defending his decision, stressing the danger of a biological male playing against girls. Well, I'm for this coach.
Yeah.
I've got 4 daughters. I've coached them I've coached them all at one point in their careers playing high school basketball. Chris Goodwin, coach of the girls team at the Mid-Vermont Christian School, said Monday, I've also filled in for the boys coach when he can't make a practice, and I run those practices, and boys just play at a different speed, a different force than the girls play. It's a different game, he said, adding that it would be irresponsible and asking for an injury to a smaller female athlete. The private school declined to play Long Trail in a Feb 21, 2023 Division IV playoff game because it believed that competing against a team with a male jeopardized the fairness of the game and the safety of the players. So rather than acknowledge that this guy was justified, to me, he was justified in that opinion, but not to the Vermont Principals Association. They banned that school from all athletic events as a result of the refusal to face the trans player. So the school was banned from all athletic events. So precious and so important, apparently, is it to acknowledge the trans player.
Okay.
Go bleep yourself, trans player.
Right.
You're not special.
But here's where the hypocrisy comes in. To make that trans kid special, what about the experience of the regular child that needs to have their sophomore basketball team
Matt,
camaraderie?
That regular child is not oppressed.
They're the oppressor.
They're the oppressor.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to continue this, but anyway, that guy's he's out. Wait a minute, there might be more here I do want to know. There are 18 state legislatures that have banned trans students from competing in high school sports. Vermont happens to allow it. All right. The state is basically attempting to purge individuals like Chris, the coach of the team that forfeited, and other family members in the state from public discourse, from the ability to speak out on issues of significant public concern. I think that what the trans guys have to do is have their own teams.
Have at it. I might even watch that.
Joe, can the 18 states, are they blue states, red states, a combination of the both? What do we
They're
got
not
here?
mentioned here. I don't know.
All right.
I'm sure they're all over the map. And to conclude today's trans news, you're not, you can be trans. Be trans. I don't care. But
fun.
You're not special. Now you have a case in the Virginia legislature where Virginia's lieutenant governor, a name you're going to recognize, I bet, has apologized after misgendering Senator Danica Rome during Monday's Senate session. The lieutenant governor of Virginia has the coolest name I've ever heard, and like Kenny said, right out of Tennessee Williams. Her name is Winsome Earl Sears.
Okay.
Now, she's come up before because she's a highly regarded up-and-coming Republican. She was a Democrat up until 1988. She's now the lieutenant governor of the state of Virginia, and her name is Winsome Earl Sears. She was presiding over this session regarding how many votes it would take to pass a bill on prescription drug prices with an emergency clause. And what would be the exact number for that, Madam President? Asked Rome, a Democrat and a trans woman. And Winsome Earl Sears responded, yes, sir, that would be 32. And for this, there's a kerfuffle.
The senator may state it.
Madam President, how many votes would it take to pass this bill with the emergency clause?
That would be 4/5, Senator.
And what would be the exact number for that, Madam President?
Yes, sir, that would be 32. The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? of all the senators. I am not here to upset anyone. I am here to do the job that the people of Virginia have called me to do, and that is to treat everyone with respect and dignity. I myself have at times not been afforded that same respect and dignity. But in this body, and as long as I am president of the Senate, and by the grace of God, I will be treated with respect and dignity, and I will treat everyone else with respect and dignity.
She called him sir, didn't she? What's wrong with that?
Yeah, right.
The silence you heard was Danica Rome leaving the chamber. She was so hurt. You precious
Oh, my
fool. Rome walked out of the chamber. Earl Sears initially refused to apologize, and the Senate went into recess twice before she finally did, according to the Progress Index, a newspaper in Petersburg, Virginia. But you know what I'm reading from? I'm reading from us because the conventional news gatherers, to my knowledge, have not covered this. They don't report it. So the site I chose was something called theadvocate.com, which is an LBGTB2 plus 315 site.
Yeah.
And boy, do they ever write it slanted, obviously, in the favor of the scorned trans legislator.
Well, when you hear it, it doesn't sound like it was intended as an insult whatsoever.
No, not at all.
It's just maybe an older person making a mistake.
Well,
certainly didn't mean to.
This precious Rome who left the chamber, it would have been hard to have mistaken her for a male. You know, I think Winsome. I just think Winsome Earl Sears should be highly regarded for not suffering fools gladly.
I'm just calling it out.
You know, yes, sir. That's, you know, I love her. I love what she did. And if that fool is offended, bleep her. This has to stop, people. There's going to be a reckoning. You can't have a country that runs this way. And I'm not saying that Danica Rome, she probably took her name from the race car driver. I'm not saying she shouldn't be a trans. Be a trans. But you don't get to.
There's not special rules for you.
You can be offended. It's okay if you're offended.
Yeah, it's so fine that you're offended. Legal. Why don't you stay in your seat and do your job, you slacker?
Yeah.
There's people who intend no harm, and they may just make a mistake. You got to wait for some people to catch up, okay? This is new to a lot of people, this whole transgender thing. They're not ready for it. They make mistakes. They're probably trying. They probably have no ill intent. It just slipped out.
Well, okay.
But she reminds me, looking at her picture, it reminds me of when Bob Stinson would go on stage in a dress.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bob in a dress.
Well,
sorry.
You keep intimating.
I'm sorry.
You keep.
I want to be polite, and if I will call a trans, I'll call them she, her, whatever. But if I make a mistake, forgive me. It's not on purpose.
It's not on purpose.
It's not on purpose.
Well, I guess I'm.
But you look like Bob in a dress.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Winsome Earl Sears is as sharp as a tack and was, I think, given the needle.
No,
Okay.
if you see the video, did you see the video?
Yeah.
You still thought so? I think she was just in a rush to get through the proceeding.
Well, that could
and that
be.
was just an automatic reaction, as Kenny said. There was no ill intent behind it.
Well, because her voice didn't sound terribly female, and she might not even looked up. She just
Can
said,
we do it again?
Yes, do it again.
All right.
Let's hear it again.
Give me a second.
How,
so I can
how
I'm willing
far
to
are
be
they
corrected.
apart in the building?
Well, it's a floor. So
Right. I mean, is
she's up on the podium.
Winsome is?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they are in the back at their, what would you call it? Their
desk.
Okay, their desk. Here you go. Cue the talent. And
The senator may state it.
Madam President, how many votes would it take to pass this bill with the emergency clause?
That would be 4/5, Senator.
And what would be the exact number for that, Madam President?
Yes, sir, that would be 32.
Okay, stop. God love Winsome Earl Sears. You're right. She didn't do anything wrong. But here's the other problem here. Here's the problem. Why is Danica Rome in the state Senate?
Well, because she's the first.
She's there for her agenda. She's not there to do the work of the people. The first time she's offended, what does she do? She gets up and leaves, stages this little theatrical walkout.
I'm a victim.
I'm a special person, and I've just been offended. Go bleep yourself. If you were a reasonable human being, you could have said, Madam Lieutenant, please call me she, and that would have been over.
Right.
Would have been over.
How many people have you heard correct others? Which version of your name do you want? Ken, Kenny, Kenneth? You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't call me Ken. It's Kenny only.
My name's been mispronounced all my life. What do I care?
Exactly.
What the hell do I care?
If you ask me, it's the same thing, but whatever.
How many different names have you been called over your career?
Quite a few. According to The Guardian, which again is a very biased site, however, she, meaning Sears, made the apology somewhat about her. As she said, Senate Democrats had shown disrespect to her. I upset Senator Rome, Earl Sears said. Let it be known I am not here to upset anyone. I am here to do the job of the people of Virginia have called me to do, and that is to treat everyone with respect and dignity, which she did. She said, yes, sir, that would be 32-1 or whatever. I myself, and yet she did turn it into her. So what? She's probably got every bit of history on her side to turn that into. Anyway, there you have it. The pushback against this transgenderism has nothing to do with gender selection. If you want to be any one of the numbers or letters in the LGBTQ plus 516P 321 community, go ahead. But you're not special. In fact, I see an incredible irony all the time. You want to be regarded as completely a functioning part of society, regardless of what gender you've chosen, and then you go out of your way to beg me to specifically acknowledge its specialty. Well, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
You know, Danica Rome, whoever the hell you are are delighting in the fact that you're a trans, and you probably want to be considered just like anyone else, but you don't behave like anyone else.
Right.
So go bleep yourself. Right. You're not special.
You have offended me by not doing your job.
But that's their irony. The campaign is for acceptance and normalcy and inclusivity. And okay, here you are. Shut the hell up. You got it. That our own special character, Finke, was in the news the other night on TV, and of course calling for more gun control because he doesn't have the. I was going to say doesn't have the balls. Might still have. Yeah. I don't know to enforce the laws you have, Finke.
What is that process
of enforcing the laws?
No, the other one.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
We're more concerned with enforcing the laws. We don't care what the package.
Imperfect science.
Yeah.
Boy, is it ever. Holy mackerel.